Welcome, Disc Golf World. It's the PDGA Amateur Disc Golf World Championships, round 3 at Pride's Creek Park. Grant Zellner of the PDGA, along with Paavo Stubstad of Central Coast Disc Golf. Round 3 is always when the players begin to figure out who's who.
That's right, Grant. In round 3 here, the cream rises to the top. Players have had 2 rounds now to, one round to recover from perhaps a bad first round, and we're going to see a lot more of the top talent here on the lead card today.
We'll get to know the members of our lead card here in just a few minutes. But first, we need to take a look at the leaderboard overall. Obviously, the lead card there, the top 4. Ilkin Groh, though, the U.S. Am champion, sneaking back into the mix after a slow start. We'll see if Ilkin can make his way onto the lead card for tomorrow. Chase Steed, we saw him earlier in coverage, but it's all about this lead card today as we venture on to hole number 1 here at Pride's Creek. A par 4, 519 feet. The landing zone, if you're not going to go for the eagle, just past this broken tree, about 395 off the tee, and you can see the OB Lake coming into play.
That's right, Grant. This is a very Fountain Hills-esque course. I would say a little more lush and green and beautiful than Fountain Hills, but a lot of those peninsula greens and a few water carries as well. Should be fun.
Paul Krans, your leader, at 17 under par, meticulous, detailed, and disciplined.
And he throws a disciplined shot right there, wants no part in the eagle. It's really a high-risk play anyway. He just gets it out there in the open. Should have an easy up and down for a birdie.
Here's your first look at Mathew Helms, just 2 strokes back, a very fast player.
Indeed, Grant, one of the fastest players I have ever filmed. It's off left a little bit, but should be in an open spot for the upshot as well.
Aidan Scott, no stranger to lead cards at Amateur World Championships. I had the pleasure of following Aidan several times at last year's Am Worlds Championships in Orlando. He's got a little bit of everything in his game.
That shot flips up to flat nicely, carrying out to that left side. Seems to be the ideal landing zone since there are no trees in your way for your upshot from there.
And finally, Austen Bates, just a fun-loving character, a lot of smiles on this guy's face throughout the round.
Going for more of a flex line, perhaps got that turned over a bit more than he wanted. But it is a soft par 4, so he should still be able to get up and down for birdie from there. It's just going to be a higher risk upshot.
From about 200, here's Austen.
All you want to do on this one is not go deep. The water is probably about circle's edge long, I would say.
Just behind the hole, that's about right. Paul's about 170 from the pin.
The green definitely favors that sidearm hyzer upshot angle with the slope.
Mathew now. Quickly playing.
Especially for upshots, he kind of takes one little practice swing and throws, and that trickled past the OB line, so he's going to be putting for par from there.
There's Aidan Scott from 90 feet. This is for eagle. Wow.
Oh my goodness, look at that. What a way to start the round for Aidan, running it down 90 feet. Incredible. See a replay of that from the other camera?
Dead center.
Yeah, that putt could not have been cleaner. To get a putt like that on coverage at all is incredible. To get it on the first hole is incredible. And for it to be an eagle in addition to that is just triple impressive. I mean,
we heard a few roars from across the course during the course of the day. Some eagles, a couple of holes in one even today at Pride's Creek. Everybody else now trying to lose just 1 stroke to Aidan.
Austen for birdie.
No problem.
Good putt.
And now Paul and Mathew will clean up. Pride's Creek plays relatively quickly. Very few opportunities to lose a disc other than, of course, going in the water.
Indeed, but you never have to search for those. So
exactly. So
no backups to speak of. Good, fast play.
We finished this round about 30 minutes faster than either rounds 1 or 2.
Mathew saves the par after that OB stroke. See if he can bounce back on hole 2. And as Paul taps in here, I got to shout out the only other 2 eagles on the day in addition to Aidan, Dan Miller and Jonathan Lisbona.
Good look at Aidan. Always seems to be dialing back the distance just a little bit when he throws. He's got a lot of power. We're moving on to hole number 2 here. A par 3, 276 feet. That Mando quickly off the tee. Not too difficult to avoid. Tee sign says this is a 340-foot hole. It's not. It measures 255. They made an adjustment to the course long after those tee signs went to print.
The tree before the basket kind of almost forces the sidearm play.
Mm-hmm.
There is a backhand line, but it's a lot riskier. And there is also that parking lot. You see the cars in the background there that can come into play if a shot is overpowered.
Yeah, just like that one from Aidan. Yep, he'll have about a 45 or so footer to try to save his par. Here's Paul looking at a similar shot.
That looks like a better power level, and he should be right about circle's edge for birdie.
Austen lining up the forehand.
It's got a little bit too... Ooh, he flashed chains on that one.
Sure did. Ended up over there by the tee of hole number 1.
Guess better to go too far right than to go too far long. He didn't challenge the OB parking lot.
Mathew quickly up and quickly playing.
And he did take the backhand line. He shows it is viable. He did hit that tree, but that tree's in the circle, so he should still have a short putt.
Here's Austen from about 55 or so. The wind was up at the beginning of the round.
Oh, just inches high.
He measured it just beautifully.
He hit the band on a basket that doesn't have a band. That's a pretty narrow margin.
Aidan now from about 45 to 50 feet, downhill and into the wind.
Hoping to save the par. Focus. Ooh, he committed to it. He's got a real interesting putting style, that stand and deliver spin putt.
Mm-hmm. He sure does. He'll give a stroke back now.
Mathew just low.
As I said, the wind was sort of up and gusty early in the round. Players had a little bit of a challenge dialing in those putts on those early holes. Here's Paul, though, from about 30 feet.
Yep. Low left side, but that works.
I've noticed Paul putts fairly low. He often hits the lower half of the chains. That has to be by design, of course.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, you minimize the risk of blowing far past when you miss if you putt like that. Aidan barely squeaking that bogey save in over the rim there. Starting off eagle bogey. Exciting round already for him.
And everybody else cleans up here on hole number 2. Yeah, one more look. We're both thinking the same thing, Paavo.
Exactly.
One more look at Paul's very consistent putting stroke. Moving on now, back toward the water on hole number 3, 348 feet downhill. There is a double Mando on this hole, forcing you to go down the middle. No wide hyzers, although I'm not sure how viable the wide hyzer would be if you are actually going for the birdie, just because of how quickly the lake comes into play beyond the basket.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the double mandos on this hole. Normally, park golf isn't really my cup of tea, but this park has plenty of trees, and there are cleverly placed mandos to force players to throw those tight shots and shape lines through the trees, which I'm definitely a fan of. Paul makes the mando. A little wide, though. A little juiced. And, barely safe.
He's in by about 2 feet. There is a line painted just inside the water line as Austen steps up.
Man, they're challenging that mando on the right. Austen playing for that big skip. Yeah, that looks good.
Leaves himself about 50 feet short. Fortunate to get that close after that tree hit. Here's Mathew.
Oh, I didn't see the tree hit for Austen. Good catch. Yeah, should be about 40 feet there.
Mm-hmm. Clean all the way down. Aidan Scott now hoping to bounce back. Little high.
Little left, and he should be in a similar place to Austen there. Kind of a long downhill putt towards the water. But this basket not quite as close to the water as hole 1. So perhaps the putt is a little more runnable.
Paul not really forcing the issue there.
He's a very smart player. I mean, he's showing why he's our leader here a few holes into the third round. And that did stop before going OB. It was within a meter of the OB line, but
just
it did
barely.
not cross.
Austen was committed there. Here's Aidan. A little low, just a little bit tentative. It's to be expected.
Mathew thinking about it for about 2.5 seconds and knocking one down.
Rattles that disc right into the bottom of the basket. So Mathew, the lone birdie here on hole number 3.
And here you can see how close Austen was to the OB, getting to take a meter in, but he, again, was not out of bounds. So this is for a par save.
That from only about 25 feet away. Austen contemplating life at the moment as Aidan steps up to clean up. No problem.
Austen will step up to tap in that unfortunate bogey. Little 3-putt action on that one. See if he can bounce back on the next. And Paul probably happy to save that par because he was not sure off the tee if his tee shot had even stayed in bounds.
We'll get a quick look at the lone birdie here on the lead card. They almost need slow motion in order to catch up with Mathew's playing style.
We could really see in slow motion there, that was kind of a scary reaction off the basket. He almost spit out. Good thing those cages are deep.
Playing back in the opposite direction, so we're playing downwind on this hole number 4, a par 4. 546 feet. It's 440 feet to carry that little sliver of water there if you wanted to go for the basket area off of your tee shot. If you're going to lay up, you're looking at about a 260, 275 foot shot.
This is a great risk-reward hole, in my opinion, Grant. I love that it entices players to go for the green, but I would imagine the majority of players who went for the green actually ended up with a worse score than the majority of players who laid up. But of course, that eagle is very tempting for players that have the distance.
No surprise to see Paul following Mathew into the layup area. That's Paul's game.
Smart golf. As we see Aidan going for the layup play as well.
For a moment, I thought Aidan might go for it.
He was lining up the backhand, which made me think that as well at the time, but he also went for the layup.
And here's Austen, just a nice soft forehand into that same area. So all 4 of our players here will have just about 225 feet to the basket.
Of note, we saw the chase card tee off on this hole, and Ilkin Groh did go for the green and did make the green. I'm actually not sure if he made... Actually, I can see he did not make the eagle putt, but he has a lot of power, so he's one of the few players in the field that was going for the green.
Cleared the water. We'll see all four, I believe, of our leaders here put the disc somewhere in or around circle one. Would surprise me if we see anything else as Paul steps up and does just that once again, sort of following Mathew.
Yep.
Aidan now a little bit obstructed, but knows exactly where he's going.
Yeah, the birdie play on this hole really is just a couple of chip shot hyzer forehands, and all our players so far have executed that properly.
Austen doesn't want to be the one not on the dance floor.
And he was actually a little more pinched off than the rest of them there. He went a little long on his drive and still executed the layup just fine. Here's Mathew. Just low.
That from just about 25 feet as well. So Mathew disappointed in that effort.
It's easy to miss low when you're putting right at the water. Ooh. Aidan squeaks it in there.
Barely needed chains on that one.
Look at that. 4 holes in, and he has an eagle, a bogey, a par, and a birdie. 4 different scores on 4 different holes. Austen goes through that pre-putt routine even when he's 10 feet. I kind of like to see that consistency out of players.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing it either. Everybody but Mathew carding the birdie here at the 4th.
And as we watch the rest of the players tap out, or as we watch the slow-mo replay, I got to shout out Andrew Gowan, Derek Ballou, Jonathan Juries, and Ryan Messenger as the 4 Eagles on the day.
Good shooting, guys. Good shooting.
Plastic Addicts is proud to sponsor the coverage of the 2022 PDGA Amateur World Championships. Use code 22AMWorlds to get 10% off store-wide from now until the end of July. Orders over $70 ship free. Thanks for choosing Plastic Addicts.
Rejoining our lead card here at hole number 5 at Pride's Creek. A water carry, but a relatively short water carry at 273 feet. You can see the basket sort of nestled in this little grove of trees right here.
Shots like this are just so fun to throw. You know, there's not really much danger of going in the water. It's just a aesthetically pleasing shot to watch fly over the water and into that nice wooded green on the other side.
Paul has doubled his lead since the round began.
Playing to the left side, maybe wanted a little more turn, but he should still have a pretty easy birdie from there, about 25 feet.
Here's Aidan Scott after that bounce back birdie.
And I thought out of his hand that might be overturned, but that is a meat hook of a disc because that started hyzering immediately. And that was a perfect play.
Right off of the base of the pole. Here's Austen.
Didn't quite get that turned over. That's going to be pretty far left. Perhaps some trees obstructing the putt as well.
Yeah, he's about 50 feet out. Mathew, quick to play as usual.
Nice flip to flat. Oh, that was going to be real close until that kick. It's still in the circle, I think, but would have been even closer.
So Austen from about 50 feet. Slightly downhill from where he is, downwind as well.
Wow, what a putt. Right in the heart, trees in the way. Had to hyzer putt around him. Was happy to make that one.
Mathew up quickly, just not quite getting that putt dialed in early in this round, but he's got time as Paul now steps up, looking to extend the lead.
Another solid putt from Paul. What a surprise. This kid is consistent.
Are you being facetious? What a surprise. Aidan now to match Paul.
Yep, great birdie from Aidan. And I got a shout out. We had one ace on this hole.
Oh, wow.
By Greer Hunt. Congratulations to you.
Matt cleans up the par, dropping a stroke to the rest of his card mates. This is that shot from Aidan that looked overturned out of the hand, but how quickly that disc snapped right back over.
Yeah, not only the release angle, but the power he seemed to throw it with led me to believe, oh, that's overturned. That's not coming back. And immediately started hyzering. I am kind of curious what disc that was.
No doubt about it. 306 feet. That's what hole number 6 measures. Obviously a par 3. Up and over a bit of a mound, and then once again back down toward the water line. Steep drop off to the left side of the basket. The water not terribly coming into play unless you go long and left, but you could find yourself with an awkward putt for sure.
Yeah, I like this hole. A little open off the tee. The closer you get to the green, the more trees there are. The downslope on the left side of the pin leads you to maybe want to play to the right a little bit. That came up a little bit short.
Yep, catching an early tree. There's Aidan Scott with more than enough power. Taking things right up the middle.
Yeah, I like the forehand play on this one, given the slope and that there are more trees on the right side of the fairway.
Aidan found one on the left, though. Here's Austen.
Looks good.
Yeah,
he should be
clean.
right at the base of the hill, putting for birdie from, 15, 20 feet.
Yeah, no more than about 20, but steeply uphill for sure. Here's Matt.
Probably hoping for less skip than that, and of course wasn't hoping for the tree hit.
So everybody except for Austen from distance. Here's Aidan. That was from over 100.
Yeah, laying up smartly from there. You don't really want to run it with the downslope to the left of the basket in the water.
Paul is outside circle 2 here, about 70 feet, just laying things up.
Paul continuing to play smart,
Matt,
as is Mathew.
nothing to think about there, was laying that one up all the way. Here's Austen with a chance.
Just right side. That's too bad. Would have been the only birdie on the card. Looks like we're going to just have some drop-ins for par here.
The wind was swirling today. It actually seemed to die out here in the middle portion of the round just a little bit. Didn't affect putts as much in particular through the middle portion of the round. I expect to see our players, the putter, heat up just a little bit here during the middle portion of the round. We'll see what happens. Over to hole number 7 now. 327 through the trees. Water off to the left, but not really in play. This is a really fun hole. You can throw the disc dead straight if you want to, and you will end up inside the circle, but most of the players tempted to kind of go for the ace run and try to turn something slightly toward the right.
Yeah, the basket is on that upslope, which makes for safer ace runs. You can ace run it and still count on being able to get that birdie most of the time. So
everybody had their cameras out behind the tee box on this one as Paul stepped up first.
nice forehand play, flip up to flat, little hyzer, and he's right there, 10 feet for birdie. Great shot.
He just continues to put the pressure on the rest of the card. They see what he does and they realize they have to match. Aidan taking on the challenge first.
Going for the backhand line. Probably the trickier line to hit, but he executes it perfectly. And man, did you see it clip that branch about 2/3 of the way there? I would have loved to see what would have happened if it didn't, because that was an ace run.
No doubt about it. Austen going with the forehand.
Wow, these guys are making this hole look easy.
They really are. And Mathew also lining up the forehand.
His forehand looks really effortless when he throws it, but he generates power when he doesn't look like he's generating power. It's interesting.
We should all be so fortunate. Mathew now from about 27 feet. Needs this to go in. He's missed a couple from a similar distance so far.
Gets that one.
There we go. There we go. Back on track for Mr. Helms. Everybody else in even closer than that. I expect we may see a star frame here.
Highly likely. Austen dialing in that focus. Yep.
He's been just a little bit shaky on the greens so far today as well, so that's good to see.
Aidan up next. Yeah, and I would imagine that for amateur world championships, some of these players may have never been on camera before, so they're getting used to the jitters of knowing that the coverage is going to be on YouTube and everything. Yep. Unlike open lead cards where they're all used to the cameras. So there is an adjustment period. Camera jitters are real.
We'll get a look at Austen's forehand form. Pretty compact, really, especially given how tall he is.
It actually reminds me of Austen Hannum's forehand form.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? Here we go back over the water. This hole number 8, a 684-foot par 4. If you go straight out from the tee box, the carry is just about 315 feet. But if you choose to take on the direction toward the basket, you're going to need at least 400 feet of power in order to clear the water.
This hole really showcases the beauty of Pride's Creek Park here. Just look at that lake. And I love that all the trees, all the grass is lush and green. There's not really any dead patches. Just a very well-manicured park.
Paul stepping up here with a pretty much a maximum distance disc. Throwing straight, just counting on the disc to sort of turn into the direction of the basket.
Yeah, I would say at 684 feet, there's really not a lot of incentive to try to go straight for the basket, making the first shot riskier. It's not like you're really going to be able to get an eagle anyway, unless you're Double G, who is not an amateur. So it just seems smarter to play straight across and just play it like a two-shot hole as it is.
Austen following a similar line to Aidan before him, just letting the disc finish.
That one was challenging the OB a little bit, but he got across, and he's going to be in a good spot there.
Here's Mathew. Throwing just a little bit straighter. A disc that flipped up just a little bit more, and you can see he got more carry than anybody else, but pretty similar upshots.
Yep. Open up shots, but once again, as is the theme out here at Pride's Creek, water behind the pin. Don't overshoot.
Paul from about 190 throwing what I later discovered as a green gator. It's appropriate that it's green colored, I think. He goes to that disc with a lot of frequency. Here's Austen from just a little closer.
I, too, am a fan of the gator. Good choice, sir.
Is it green, though?
I have many gators. They are different colors.
Here's Aidan, just about 140 from the pin. Going just a little bit long, but no problem there.
And here we see Mathew taking no time at all. We're going to watch this come in from the catch cam because I did not even have time to get into position for that shot.
So despite out-driving Paul by close to 100 feet, no real advantage here. And now Paul takes any remaining thought of an advantage away by knocking the birdie down.
His putting is so consistent. I continue to be impressed by this kid.
Aidan back uphill from down near the water, but was never really in any danger of going out of bounds on that upshot. And now a couple of, well, practically drop-ins.
I would call them that. And it's actually pretty impressive that we are likely, going to see a star frame here on this hole, as it is probably the only true two-shot par 4 on this course. There are other par 4s, but they're all kind of in that 500-ish foot range where it's more of a drive and an upshot. And this is two drives. Maybe the second one's a short one, but it's a good star frame.
2 star frames in a row there for our lead card. We'll get a good look here at Mathew's drive. Wasn't really rewarded for outdriving the card. Nevertheless, we get a chance to see Matt's form off the tee box here. And we move over to the final hole of this opening 9 here in round 3, 350 feet uphill over a bit of a mound. The player's sort of aiming at this tree right here on the left because the basket is directly behind it. They cannot see the basket from the box.
Yeah, since it crests over the top of the hill, it's not like the tree blocks the view. The basket would be blind to the players in any case.
Paul stepping up first. You know, given the hill and the other conditions, I lasered off a few things here on this hole and determined it probably takes about 400 feet of power if you actually want to scare the basket here on hole number 9. Aidan to play.
Ooh, that looks overturned. Oh, and it hits that branch. I mean, it was either going to be far right or now far short due to the branch, so not a big difference.
A hole playing just a little bit into the wind, so as you can see, these discs overturning just a little bit on all of our players because they can't feel the wind at the box.
That's a good note, actually, for tees that are protected where you're throwing into fairways that are more exposed to the wind. And not to be overlooked there, Austen showcasing his forehand power. I know the shot was not that accurate, but you said it took about 400 feet of power to reach the pin, and he's like 50 feet long, so that is a powerful forehand.
Nobody in close on this par 3, though. Everybody looking to avoid bogey. Aidan playing first.
Nice forehand hyzer upshot there. Stops before the downslope. Drop in par for him. Another Mathew upshot from catch cam since I couldn't get there in time. Thanks, Keenan, for always being ready on the catch cam.
Paul from a very similar spot. Just kind of short arming.
And that did settle down there.
Now, Austen, no stress in kind of trying to run this if you can. Why not?
We're going to have 4 drop-ins for par there.
Difficult to get the height you need to allow that disc to turn enough there. So everybody dropping in their pars, closing out this opening 9 here at Pride's Creek. I really enjoy Pride's Creek just from the standpoint of it looks like a course that would be a lot of fun to play. Also, because of the lake there, I noticed that it felt about 10 degrees cooler than it probably actually was during the course of the round.
That is true.
Which was nice, given the heat we've been dealing with here in southern Indiana so far during these Amateur World Championships.
I also enjoy the fact that the Am Worlds this year showcases the 3 different styles of disc golf. We've got the ball golf course, we've got the heavily wooded course, and then the park course here in Pride's Creek.
Apropos that we get a look at our leader off of the tee there. Very compact style, matching his compact frame. Make sure you like and follow the PDGA on YouTube as we will be back with back 9 coverage here at the 2022 PDGA Amateur Disc Golf World Championships.